Nicole and today I'm doing the Halloweentown Book Tag. So this tag was originally created by Peyton from Peyton Reads and Brittany from Brittany and Books. I really enjoy their channels and I saw this Halloweentown tag and I loved Halloweentown growing up. I still love it now. So I just really wanted to do it. Question 1 is Halloweentown. Name a fictional place you wish was real. When I think about this, I think about books that I loved growing up. I guess like Hogwarts would obviously be like up there. Narnia would be another one. I wish Narnia was real. Just like another world like beyond a wardrobe or whatever. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with those because they're just like, they have like special places in my heart and it's just that like comforting like childhood nostalgia maybe, I don't know, but yeah, Hogwarts and Narnia, definitely for me. For Harry Potter and Chronicles of Narnia, I don't think I have to like go into what they're about. Harry Potter boy wizard, 11 years old, you're a wizard Harry, gets whisked off to Hogwarts where he hones his power, kind of defeats the guy, and almost gets killed for like 7 years of his life. So that's Harry Potter. Chronicles of Narnia is like a whole other world, I guess, beyond ours, and there's like, yeah, Narnia, just like this whole host of stories which take place within the world of Narnia. I need to read them all, honestly. I've only really read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. And so in that particular story we follow Peter, Susan, Edmund and Lucy, who find a wardrobe which takes them to another world called Narnia. They have to help all the like people and woodland creatures who live there, and Aslan, can't forget Aslan, defeat the White Witch, because she is somebody who makes it always winter in Narnia but never Christmas, and she's just like not a nice person. So that's Narnia. Question 2, Marnie. Name a book about witches. It's really interesting. I love like witches and witchcraft. Like I was obsessed with Charmed growing up. I love Supernatural. I'm behind, no spoilers. But I'm realising I haven't really read that many books about witches. The only one I can really think of is like one that I guess I'm in the middle of at the moment. I think it's like The Secret Circle. I think it's by L.J. Smith, but I'm not 100% sure about that. If I'm wrong, I'll put it somewhere. But I really loved this TV show and then they cancelled it. I was very disappointed. I have a lot of, I guess, like magical books, but I wouldn't consider the people in them witches. Maybe like some elements of magic or like paranormal or something like that, but they're not witches. So that's the one that I'm going to go with, and if you have any recommendations please let me know because I love witches and I'm just now realising how I'm lacking in witches on my bookshelves. Question 3, Sophie. Name your favourite middle grade book. I don't read, I guess, a lot of middle grade. I didn't really realise, I think. A lot of the books on my shelves that I thought were middle grade are apparently YA. I can't go with the Chronicles of Narnia again. I can't. I mean, I could go with like another obvious one, which is Percy Jackson. I think those are middle grade. Middle grade book, I went with Percy Jackson again. I don't think I have to say much about Percy Jackson. I feel like most people know what Percy Jackson is. Percy Jackson is a demigod, and when he's kind of, I guess, like sussed out as the demigod, like a load of evil things like come after him, so he ends up having to go to Camp Half-Blood, but on the way his mother gets kidnapped and he goes on a quest to get her back, which is like the gist of like the first book. So I could go with Percy Jackson because I do genuinely enjoy those stories. I'm not that far into them, to be fair. I started them as a kid and then I never finished them, so I'm starting again. But I think, yeah, I think for me it's gonna have to be Percy Jackson. Like that's all I can think of. Everything else that I thought was middle grade is YA, so Percy Jackson. Number 4, Dylan. Name a book about a magical school. Do I even read? I have a lot of books with schools which have some elements of magic, but they're not magic schools. Does that make sense? No, I can't go with Hogwarts because I've already said that. So what else? I think I'm gonna have to go with Harry Potter. It's like 9th house, elements of magic, not a magic school. The Starless Sea, like starts off in like a college or university, but it's not a magic school. Spellbook of the Lost and Found, some of it takes place in a school, but it's not a magic school. Do you know what, this tag is really good for me to take notes about like what I have on my shelves and what is actually missing from my shelves, because like these are things that I would love but for some reason don't read. So once again, if you have any recommendations, please let me know, because I'll love you forever. Number 5, Grandma Aggie. Name a book that helps you escape into a brand new world. Brand new world, so that's like not our world, I guess. So outside of our world. Oh, Heartless. Heartless was a good one actually. Heartless is definitely, okay, let's go with Heartless, because Heartless is definitely not our world and I adored it. Like, I was so thoroughly invested. I was so thoroughly invested in like the outcome of that book, even though you know the outcome of the book because it's like the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, like that's who the story is based on, so you know the outcome. But I thoroughly enjoyed myself reading it. I wanted a different ending, even though I knew I wasn't going to get a different ending, but it was just so good and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Number 6, Calabar. Name your favourite villain. I don't know if I have a favourite villain. I don't know if I have like a favourite villain, but a villain which surprised me was the Dark Lord in The Final Empire, which sounds really weird, but throughout the whole book you're like led to believe like one thing, and then it just completely took me by surprise. There are other elements of the book which, you know, don't, but it's still really enjoyable, but that part I was like, oh my god, like I did not see it coming. I was totally surprised and it was really well done, I think, because you go in thinking like it's gonna be this, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be this, and then it isn't. I was gobsmacked. So again, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Again, I feel like it's quite popular here on BookTube, but so The Final Empire follows this young girl called Vin and this, I guess, slightly older person called Kessler. Vin is a street urchin and she has learned to live amongst thieving crews. All her life she's kind of lived in fear, and she has formed all sorts of rules for herself in order to like keep herself alive. And she meets Kessler, who is the leader of another crew, and this crew isn't like any that she's like ever seen or worked with before, and he recruits her for a job, and the job, if they succeed, could mean riches and quite possibly a new life for Vin, but if they fail it means death. I really love this book. It kind of reminded me of like Leverage or Hustler, like-minded people coming together to use their very specific skills towards like a common goal. Like, I adore those kinds of stories in like any medium, so I really enjoyed that. Number 7, Benny. Name a book that is there to get you out of a hard time. I don't suppose I can just say any book. See, when I think of books like that, I think of like cozy books, which are books essentially from my childhood, but I don't really reread them if I'm like going through something. Oh, that's a tough one. I can think of a few which probably could, like my childhood favourite series like Skullduggery Pleasant or the Alex Rider series, or Harry Potter, Narnia. Probably the Loren Legacy series, that was a really good series. Eliza and Her Monsters, The Upside of Unrequited. That book like literally warms my heart. I don't know, I think I'm gonna have to test that one out, maybe. 8, Luke. Name a character which has a hard exterior but is like soft on the inside. So I could be quite original here, or I could go really basic, because that is, I guess, like the whole bad boy with a past, so hard exterior but actually like soft on the inside kind of thing, like exactly what it says. So when I think about this question, I feel like Nate from One of Us is Lying just pops into my head, because that is literally the definition of his character. One of Us is Lying, I guess the premise is 5 kids didn't walk into detention, 4 walk out alive, and it's all about like what happened to him, who hurt him, one of you is lying. And so it's like them trying to figure out what happened while the world is like scrutinizing them, and they're all very different people from like, well, very different kids from very different backgrounds, all working towards like very different goals. And it's really interesting to see how the characters develop throughout. And yeah, just like a story that I did genuinely enjoy. I haven't finished the trilogy yet for another series. I feel like maybe Lila from Darker Shade of Magic, but I haven't finished it yet. Don't come for me. That's just like the vibe I got from reading the first book. Just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna go with Nate from One of Us Is Lying, because that is literally him. Like, that's literally him. So yeah, Nate from One of Us Is Lying. Number 9, Cal, name your guilty pleasure book. That one is the easiest question we have done in this entire tag. Morganville Vampires series, those are my absolute guilty pleasure books. I can understand why people don't like them. I started reading them probably when I was like 14 or 15 or something like that, and I really just like, I read the first one and was just like enthralled. And I haven't finished the series yet, and I have all of them because I bought all of them, and I'm still reading them. And it, you know, one of the characters does get on my nerves a lot, but that might just be because I'm not 15 anymore. But it's still a series that I consider like my guilty pleasure series. It's so Morganville Vampires is basically like a series of books which takes place in a town called Morganville, and it's kind of run by vampires. That's pretty much the gist of it, and I really enjoy it. So number 10, got name a book that you love but forget to talk about. Mine would probably be like The Fire Thief by Terry Drury. I read these books on holiday. So I think what happened was I'm part Greek Cypriot, so I spent a lot of my summers in Cyprus growing up, and they had a bookshop there, so I used to go in there quite a lot. And I think I really wanted like the new series of Unfortunate Events book. I think that's the one that I wanted, but they didn't have it. But they said that they could order it in for me, so that was really cool, and they did. But in the meantime, I needed something else to read, so because I think it was gonna like take a week to get there, so I ended up picking up The Fire Thief and read it like instantly, absolutely loved it. Parents took me back to get the second one, read it, loved it. Parents took me back to get the third one, read it, loved it, and then I got my other book, so that was cool. My poor parents probably spent a lot that holiday just on books, on my books. But it's a series that I definitely forget to talk about, and I don't know if they would hold up. I hope they would, because I loved it when I was a kid. I so forget to talk about them. So The Book Thief is basically a story about Prometheus. Prometheus is a titan or a demigod, or he's something, and he stole fire from Zeus to give to humans. That's what it like in Greek mythology. And for that, Zeus decided to punish Prometheus by tying him to a rock and have an eagle peck out his liver every day. So what happened was that the god made the liver grow back, and then each day this eagle would come and like peck it out again. So it was torture, obviously. So this story essentially takes place after like 8,000 years, and Prometheus like breaks out of his chains. Zeus, getting wind of this, like sends the eagle after Prometheus. In order to escape, Prometheus travels through time and ends up somewhere called Eden City and falls in with these like band of people, and I just really enjoyed this story. I remember growing up, it is a trilogy and I flew through it, but I never talk about it. So if you like Greek mythology, like, I should probably like read it again before recommending it. But yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed that story. Number 11, name a character. Oh, Ethan, name a character you would go on a broom ride with. Go on a romantic broom ride with. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go with either Jess from Heartless, Marco from The Night Circus, Valak from Poison Study, or Thomas Cresswell from Stalking Jack the Ripper. Yeah, those seem like good options. And number 12, name a... oh, Natalie, name a character who is proud of who they are. One that comes to mind for me is Liz from You Should See Me in a Crown. It takes a while to get there. Like, the story is about Liz and her dealing with like anxiety and how she feels like on the outskirts and stuff like that, but eventually she does become very proud of who she is. So she comes to mind for me for that. Maybe Jo from Little Women, she seems quite proud of who she is, like from the edition that I read. I read like a weird edition where it cut off at some point, so I haven't read all of it, I guess, but I'm quite happy with where I left off considering what I have heard about it. Maybe 6 from the Lorraine Legacy series. I don't know whether I'm confusing like happy with who they are with like general confidence. Yeah, I'm gonna go with those. So that is all of the questions. I feel like I was probably a little bit like up and down. I don't know how this like came across. We'll go with it. Like I say, I love Halloweentown, so this was just like a really cool tag to do. Thank you to Peyton and Brittany from Peyton Reads and Brittany and Books. But yeah, I hope that all of you have a fantastically spooky Halloween, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!